Sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones we see in movies or hear in our bedtime stories. They are the people we pass on the street, the one who blend in, who seem normal at first, but some of them hide quite deep secrets and live a double life. The sad part is that some of these individuals were straightforward with their disturbing beliefs. Sadly, their desires never left the depths of the internet until it was too late. This video is no place for the light-hearted, as we will dive into the depths of the internet, where we once again look at people whose actions shatter the souls of the innocent. There isn't a happy ending here, only stuff that will upset you as we look at the most depraved souls out there who deserve to be called Horrorcows. Some are worse than others, and I would like to hear your opinion about them. This layer isn't in a particular order, so I hope you have something to snack and drink, and most importantly make sure your snorkels are ready because you're going on another deep dive with Snorky. Hell is empty and all the devils are here.
Hello everyone, this is Pamperchu. Today, I'm going to teach you how to flush a diaper down the toilet. Now normally, you wouldn't do this. It can cause problems with your septic tank or sewer system. But today, I'm going to show you.
The further we dive in, the more degenerate people we discover. Their actions and behavior are making me lose hope in humanity. This entry leads us to a special group of people we already touched upon in my worst YouTuber series. 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙧𝙗 the Wolf was subject of that special series, and pamperchu is the star of this layer. Furries are a community of people often looked down upon for all the wrong reasons.
I hate monkeys, and I want to kill an animal. Well, I don't know if you guys are the Gorg people, but someone's gonna come over here. Hopefully, we can take apart an animal together. I'll keep it clean. I don't care if it gets on the carpet or the walls. And also, I'm gonna eat it. I'm not just gonna take it apart and it. No, I want to learn. I have never done it before, but I really like that stuff.
They are usually individuals who have a strong interest into anthropomorphic animals which possess human-like characteristics such as ability to talk, walk, etc. A significant amount of dislike stems from the misconceptions about their furry community. Some people wrongfully assume that the furry fandom is primarily focused on fetishes and sexual activities.
Right now, I'm craving children. Like, I really want a child. But I know I can't have that in my life right now, so I have stuffed animals.
This is not always the case, but one thing that definitely didn't help the reputation among the public is how there have been many extremely controversial cases over the past few years. We made a deep dive into the gore community with many people commenting about their beliefs and moral standpoints. But this video will not dive into the furry community, as this will be a standalone video at some point on my channel. This entry will be dedicated to just one of their members. Pamperchu is a very extreme case, and I found out he isn't popular in the furry community as his beliefs are sickening.
But I like children. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a bad pet. I just like children. I mean, I like to cuddle up with them or, you know, hang out with them and do stuff, you know, feed them, things like that. I'm not like a or anything. No, I would never kids, but at best, I might jack off if they wanted to do it with me. I mean, they can do it themselves, or we can do it side by side, you know. I'll show them the fursuit head and stuff. But no, I'm not gonna be mean. I mean, or that's not mean, but I won't do anything inappropriate. That's what I should say. What I mean is, I don't want to stick it in. I can just play with their feet if they don't mind. But they have that on Telegram too. You can look at kids' feet all the time.
Pamperchu also provided us with almost 20 years worth of content. His infamous career started on YouTube in 2007, besides being active on many different forum sites. People who interacted with him quickly realized that Pamperchu has quite a few weird fetishes that raised eyebrows. One of them that he is into the ABDL. What's that, you ask? I just love to expand your horizons. ABDL is a form of age play that involves role-playing and age regression to an infant-like state. Paraphilic infantilism would be the medical term, but basically he is an adult baby who loves that people take care of him. This state of mind is truly special in its own way. these people would often wear and use diapers, cuddle with stuffed animals and drink from a bottle, or suck on a pacifier, which is quite normal behavior for an adult if you ask me. Or sometimes in the more extreme cases they would have a mommy and daddy who would do things for them, as they enjoy being dependent on someone. And if you're wondering now, yes, this includes changing their diapers. If you finish it vomiting, don't put the bucket away just yet, as there is more to come that makes this look like child's play. Just to state, Pamperchu was born on July 12, 1988, making him a 35-year-old addict diaper-wearing PDF, which is actually a furry. This is a special combo you don't see every day. For you interested in his persona or fursona, it's a blue wolf named Sandy Wolf, a suit made by him. Over time, Pamperchu would dive more into ABDL and he would change his fursona to a baby bunny, which does reflect more on his love about age regression roleplay. He would also proudly wear his bunny suit in public places, like in this video where he visited Burger King.
Hi everyone, it's me, Pamperchu. I'm here at Burger King enjoying a burger and I got a Slurpee. It's not a 7-Eleven Slurpee, it's a Burger King Slurpee, but it's still Coke. On to the next adventure. I think it's a thrift store.
Now his nickname is quite interesting but quite simple. Pamperchu is a reference to Pampers, the brand of diapers, and Pikachu, so the name combines two of his favorite interests. His first traces online are quite hilarious and disturbing at the same time. Somebody totally random would post this on a forum. I can't buy diapers, so I just go to trash to find some. What do you think? Is this a good idea? Pamperchu is always willing to help and answer with this. I do it and it's safe as long as you know what you're doing. Wet diapers are very safe and can be reused, but poopy diapers can make you sick, so just be careful. I have saved wet and poopy diapers from a dumpster for over 10 years and never been sick. I love the smell of old diapers and I love getting them for free out of the garbage. You can microwave them really hot and off the bacteria and the germs, then let them cool down before wearing them or you will burn yourself. Everyone seems to gross out from used diapers on this side. If you like dumper diapers, go for it, just be careful. I never thought I would read something like this loud, but we reach new heights every day. He would also explain how he reheats his diapers in the same oven where he warms up his expired canned food, as according to him, canned food can't expire. This, ladies and gentlemen, is quite interesting behavior to behold, and I don't know what is more sickening, the thought of him of eating some unhealthy canned food sitting for decades in a can, or the thought of him using the same oven to keep his diapers warm. To top it all off, the microwave he uses is from the 1970s, and I hope it is quite obvious that this is quite harmful to his health, as technology did evolve a few steps ahead in the last few decades.
But yesterday I went in for just another appointment and they finally had a diagnosis. They took a few samples out of my lump here. They took a needle and took 3 core samples and they tested 2 of them. One of them was inconclusive, the other one was that it showed signs of the cancer. So I do have Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm not worried about it, but everyone else around me is kind of upset and worried.
It's no wonder that he developed cancer due to his lifestyle and the frequent use of this old microwave. His health problems would not stop there. There is also a video where Pamperchu explains some demons he's battling, which can also be the explanation of his behaviors, but there is something far more deeper and more complex that alters his way of thinking than simple substance abuse.
But I didn't start drinking until I ran out of what I have been taking pretty much my whole life. So I'm not going to use the words of the actual drug, but one makes you a tweaker and one makes you a heroin addict. Okay? They're pills, you know, but still, I've been taking that for most of my life. And then when the VA cuts you off, well, cuts somebody else off, and then your connection gets lost and you know. So that's why I've been drinking, is because I cannot get the two drugs that function with me very well. I don't drink when I do those drugs. I don't even smoke when I do those drugs. But when you have to take care of your own body, and why do we use drugs? Because they work. And so right now I'm trying to go to doctors and get help for that, so I can just get the, get the paperwork that says I can have them. But for the last, oh, sorry, Steve, you look passed out. There you go. So yeah, for the last while, for a little while now, I haven't had more than 2 years, and it's starting to really get to me. I took it for 10 years before that. It's hard to say. Every single video from like 2008 to a couple years ago, I was high on, well, I wouldn't say high, but I was doing those two drugs in combination. Yep. It's no big deal. I obviously not dead, but that's what they keep saying. The doctor was like, oh, you can't have opiates because you'll kill yourself or you'll overdose or whatever. You know what? I went through cancer. I went through a lot of things. I'm not going to kill myself with drugs. It's pissing me off.
Pamperchu life is quite a wild story when you first stumble upon it, but the most important thing in his life is, above everything, is probably the obsessions with his diapers. He would not only wear used diapers, but he would also barbecue them on his old grill, because why not?
Let's see if it's ready. Well, it's starting to melt there. Give it some more time. Here, I'll put it over in the hot section. Delicious.
This would go so far that he would squeeze and stop diapers or try to see what would happen to them if he lets them sit in the sun.
Alright, here, I'll just grab one of these, a blue one, because we gotta do testing. We're doing research here. We're doing lots of research. See, there's a pink one, so then we're gonna see the squish test here.
Pamperchu is a man of science and dedication, and not a single diaper was spared for his pleasure and the sake of science. Is this interesting or borderline disturbing? I won't let you to decide. Now Snorky, okay, you presented us with a very disturbing guy who lost diapers, but is there something more disturbing here? Sadly, the answer is yes. First of all, he was living with his parents who financially backed him up in all of this. This would include diaper parties where adult people would gather and act as babies. Quite an interesting theme for a party that I wasn't familiar with at all. So if you don't have any ideas for your next party, here's a tip that will probably surprise everyone. Just a simple warning. If you decide to throw a party while still living with your parents, it can result, just like in Pamperchu's case, that you will be deported to live in a shed outside the house. Also a thing to add that Pamperchu has a special love for vintage stuff, so the lovely shed is filled with all sorts of old things. Because Pamperchu is also a good businessman, he would do some dirty work on the side by selling his used diapers. Or even more disturbing, Pamperchu would sometimes act as a kid and play around with people who call themselves daddies. And they would often feed them, change their diapers, and God knows only what behind the scene.
Okay, hold on dearly now, squirrel, go over there and turn it around.
No. That'll hurt. Squirrel can do it and I'll spin him.
Okay. Here, baby, here's your baby bottle.
My carrot!
And what other neat things do we have around here?
No. Here's
what's this?
Sadly, like you heard in the beginning, Pamperchu likes kids, and not in a good way. there is a leaked voice recording from an app called Telegram, which is an encrypted messenger that is often used by people who want to hide something. Now, what follows is a quite long and disturbing confession he has about children. This could be upsetting, so just a warning, and you can always skip this part if you don't want to listen to it.
I was sitting in the garage in the gallery and on a couch with him, and so I said, Avery, are you a pedophile too? And he goes, oh, yeah, I guess so. But then, a year goes by and he goes, no, I hate that. I'm not into that. Ugh. So it's hard to tell. Did I persuade him into saying yes because I was right there and his new friend? Or whatever. He really does not like to talk about it. But he might be. Of course I am. I'm open about it. I'm very good at talking about all of it. And for some reason, every friend I meet, I go, are you a pedophile? I'm a pedophile. Are you one too? And they go, yeah. So sometimes it's just you're trying to be cool in the crowd you're in without offending anyone. So, I don't know. I'm not sure he is or not. And yeah, I think saying into kids would be a better term than what we have in America, which is pedophile. But that's the word I've chosen to repurpose because it's exactly what I feel like, and that's what they label it as. But there's plenty of places around the world where they do not have age of consent, and they don't have a pedophile. You see in the news a wealthy male that wants a 12-year-old girl. It's not called the same thing in other parts of the world. What do I want? I want a bunch of little toddlers running around so I can feed them and change their diapers and cuddle with them at night. And if they're like preteens, yeah, of course I'd be okay with, experimenting with them. I'm not gonna stick it in them. Not like that. But that's what children should have. Instead of the sex they have in public school, oh my god, that's a disgrace. I don't see why not. Why can't a 12-year-old that's been cuddling with me all of his life why can't we touch each other and experiment, such as when kids do it with each other? Well, I actually have an education, so I can teach them things. The correct words for the things they're pointing at and whatnot. I'm a safe space. I'm a safe adult. I do not tell on kids. I do not tattle on kids, I should say. And whenever it's ever happened to me, I just keep it our little secret. I've never actually done anything, but I have a little friend that's around 12, and he sure has a shining on me. He sure likes me. There's even 3D generated CP that looks like the real thing. It's very close. And in our country, art is legal. Underage art is legal. You take that up to Canada, you get arrested. But no, we have one of the few countries in the world that lets you do that. That's alright. A lot of people hate kids, but get aroused by them. It's natural.
He would also ensure that it's completely fine that a 15-year-old sent his soft into the group, because according to him, as long as it isn't hard, it isn't illegal. The life of pamperchu is so bizarre, it's quite hard to understand. While the ABDL community is already a niche subculture, pamperchu's behavior and association with the extreme elements of this community, including the controversial practice of wearing soiled diapers, place him in even a more isolated part of the internet. Now, combining all of this with someone who is under drugs and alcohol and lives off his parents and off the state is something that just pisses me off. And when we started to peel off the layers, we didn't find a lost soul with a niche interest and a substance problem. Instead, we found someone who is willing to harm animals, himself, and the worst part is that this doesn't stop there, as he's attracted to children, which is even more concerning. I feel like pamperchu should be investigated by the police just to check if all the things he does online are legal, The leaked voice recording and the screenshots are quite unhinged, to say at least. Pamperchu's story isn't at the end, as he is still online and he still does upload things to his channel. But enough about talking about diapers and adult babies, and let's dive into something even more disturbing.
Hello everyone, this is Pamperchu, and today I wanted to show you my baby powder collection.
Favorite dude named Nick Bate? Nick Bate. Where am I, you may ask? Right here. Under the table.
The first entry we are going to look at doesn't even describe a person. He's just a heartless monster who walks this earth. His story is sickening and yet heart-wrenching. Nick Bate, also known as Dr. Nicholas Bate, is an individual and famous for his grotesque online presence, disturbing confessions, and criminal actions. The unfortunate part is that no one intervened before he committed this terrible act.
I'm gonna do my wife and also some children in their butts.
Looking into Nick's life, he was born on September 1st, 1991 in Pennsylvania. He is a child of divorced parents and his father was a heavy alcoholic and a weed lover. On the other hand, his mother was quite into religion. This chaotic mix is probably the reason why Nick ended up how he did, as he claimed that his father abused him when he was little. He also had a stepsister, and also a very close family member, which is important to the story, was his aunt Joyce. Nick was that shy and quiet boy in the class, but he would sometimes be considered smart by his teachers. Little is known about his early life, besides the fact that he did enjoy the Mary Jane along with his father until they got separated. He has never worked a day in his life and relies on financial support from his family and social security checks. Later he would move to his aunt, possibly because his mother discovered he would steal her dresses. Nick was heavily into cross-dressing. Being that his parents are quite conservative, they did not approve of this and confiscated his women's clothes. Nick has apparently personality disorder, but this is up for speculation, but more on that later. The few things I already said can give you a hint that Nick's upbringings weren't so good. He once underwent a psychological evaluation and it was proven that he wasn't so intelligent like the teachers thought. I mean, his life wish was to have a happy household, which involved having children with a child. Sadly, his desires would get progressively worse, as you will see, but I wanna start with the tamest thing about him, and that's probably his hygiene. Nick would openly speak about his lack of hygiene, including proudly discussing his refusal to bathe, brush his teeth, or taking care of the household. His way of having a shower is just to get his hair moist or wet. Some would say he has some water phobia, but I can't prove this. Maybe he simply didn't feel like showering. Either way, it's completely disgusting. He also didn't visit the dentist for a very specific reason, and that was that he was afraid that the dentist would open his neck on the table, which is definitely a fear to have, but I don't think a real one. With that out of the way, we can truly step neck deep into shit. And I mean literal. Nick was into feces, as it was one of his fetishes. The medical term is coprophiliac. And spoiler alert, he is not the only one on this list. He would also beat his meat, which he previously smeared with his feces. He even admitted to rubbing his feces all over the walls of his aunt's house, and apparently his auntie didn't throw him out because of this. I think that Nick would openly talk about is how he loves back doors and not the front door, but a front door is okay when it's very young and it isn't opened as much. You know what I'm talking about, but I don't wanna get this video again demonetized like the last few. So again, just a friendly reminder to help me out by smashing that like button and consider subscribing to this channel to see more stuff like this. What a trade-off, am I right? Again, if you don't wanna be disturbed anymore, click off the video, I don't care, as we need to discuss this part to truly show you who Nick in reality is. So, if you're still watching, Nick Bate's online persona first gained attention due to his bizarre and disturbing posts, particularly on platforms like Tumblr and Reddit, along with Kiwi Farms. Nick has terrorized the internet with his gross presence for over a decade. This would include pursuing underage girls on the internet for years, even going as far as stalking them. He would also talk about how the PDFs need a civil rights movement, and it's no wonder that Nick would frequently try to find CP online and didn't understand why CP wasn't legal in the first place, which is just the most unhinged thing I read. But there are two sagas in his life I want to skip completely, as I don't want to drag this video too long. The important part is that he has a Skype chat with someone called Anna, aka his first girlfriend Saga, who posted on the CVC in 2011. It was later posted on YouTube in 2012.
Okay, but you're proving my point. The pedophilia should not be illegal.
It should.
It is
yet another illegal. It is.
Yeah, I know,
People get prosecuted for it. They get thrown in jail for it.
That is what I'm saying, though. It's a stupid law.
And ironically enough, during the call, Nick asked, "How could this be used against me?"
How on earth could this possibly be used against me when I'm not going to have a job?
How do you know you're not going to want to get a job? You someday you might change your mind. And people are going to look at this and they're going to call the cops.
No, son, I do not.
So remember that I said that Nick had a stepsister, so the girl was around 8 when this started to came out. But due to the info we have now, this all started when she was around 5 or 6. There is a chat log, and I won't go through the whole thing as there is only so much I can do right now. It's on the screen if you want to read it. What important is that he discussed how he licked his back door of his 5-year-old stepsister, and the problem for him was that it was quite messy and he could not lick the whole thing as there was just too much dirt around it. And I hate this guy so much right now because I need to describe things like this. This truly makes my blood boil. But Nick had a response about this and denied basically everything. I said there was somewhat of a good ending here, well, at least the best one there could be in this case. On April 29, 2015, Nick was thanks to God arrested. The big problem was that most people believe that Nick had greatly exaggerated both his fetishes and the stories to get attention. But if this only was the truth. On June 17, 2015, Kiwi Farms user Saul Goodman, which is quite a fitting name, attended the arraignment trial and recounted the victim's testimony. He claimed that the things she described were brutal and disgusting to a degree far beyond what was previously being reported, and that her testimony was both assured and utterly convincing, which made having to listen to them all the more horrible. As a result of his crimes, Nick has been sentenced for 40 years in prison, the maximum sentence for this crime, and will not be eligible for a parole for 16 years. Nick Bate's behavior posed to a deep-seated psychological issue. His lack of personal hygiene, grotesque fetishes, and the open fantasies about pedophilia were indicative of severe psychological disturbances. He exhibits an apparent detachment from normal social and moral boundaries, often sharing his belief without any apparent shame. Also, his writings demonstrate a clear lack of empathy. While Nick Bate was often treated as a joke by certain people online, his case is a stark reminder of the dangers of assuming all online deviant behavior is harmless. His presence on online platforms like Reddit, Kiwi Farms and Tumblr attracted significant attention, with threads and discussions focused on his bizarre behavior. However, many failed to recognize the serious risk he posed until it was too late.
I am Christian Weston Chandler, so get it through your skull and call me the real name that God has been given to me.
Hail to the king of all lolcows. He is the most documented person online. Chris even possesses his own wiki page, which details every move he made on the internet. The most important part is that Christian entered the realm of Horrorcows just recently. This is the reason why he is featured on this list about Horrorcows and not the lolcows, even though he was briefly mentioned there. But as he started as a lolcow, you know how this goes. They would document every step they made in their lives. Over time, their uniqueness attracted viewers who would make their life a living hell.
You're right. It's really. There you go. Reminder that I have psychic powers and abilities.
Because of his trolls, Chris even thought that the reality of video games and anime will merge with our world. Some lolcows possess tamer trolls, while others possess trolls that haunt their dreams at night. Chris had every one of them, even one who wanted to end his life just to be marked as the ultimate troll. Christian has this to say about himself: "I am a high-functioning autistic person who was heavily emotionally damaged, artistic inspiration lost with paranoia, deception, blackmail, and in plain hurtful words from those bottom-feeding trolls. I am the hand-drawing original creator of Sonichu, Sonichu, and the city of Seal, Virginia, USA." Chris is an autistic person and self-entitled trans woman with delusional tendencies who have been allowed by his parents, Barbara Chandler, and his deceased father, Bob Chandler.
And put on a tinfoil hat to show that the man will not take over your minds. A beret will also suffice well.
More on his mother or his guilty pleasure waifu later.
Hey, Mom. Say something.
My name is Barbara Chandler.
Are you dead right now?
No.
You're very much alive?
Yes.
How strong do you feel?
Very strong.
Good.
This is the sole reason why I see on the list right now, but Chris's story is just one to behold as his life is truly special.
Okay, now I just feel like I have to do this first time in here. I feel like I gotta do this. Hello, my name is Apu. I went to
No. You don't have to do that. That's right.
Welcome to Quickie Mart.
Understanding Christian's early lives will provide us with context to his later internet fame and the many controversies that followed.
I tell you a story. It is a good story. You will enjoy story.
So I wanna show you the world of Chris Chan. Chris Chan was born as Christopher Weston Chandler on February 24, 1982 in Charlottesville, Virginia. He is the only child of Barbara and Bob Chandler. Their father Bob was an engineer and his mother Barbara was a secretary. Christian's family background has been marked by a degree of isolation, and Chris has a close but complex relationship with his parents, who have been heavily involved into his life. Christian was diagnosed with autism at a young age, which significantly influenced his development and behavior. This diagnosis became a central aspect of his identity. The challenges associated with autism, combined with a lack of social understanding and acceptance during their school years, contributed to difficulties in social interaction and education. Despite that, he was somewhat able to maintain a normal life, but there weren't any lack of weird situations.
Are you ready for your execution, Mr. 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙧? Well, at least my face ain't f***ing orange. Goodbye.
As Christian was still young, he developed a strong interest in a certain anime that would take over the world, and that was Pokemon. Soon after he got his first Pokemon game, a game that I love so much despite being very flawed, that being Pokemon Red and Blue for the Game Boy Color, he started to become obsessed with Pokemon that he even made a whole page dedicated to his favorite hobby and even started to draw Pokemon cards. But also he started to enjoy a certain game under the name Sonic the Hedgehog. Chris fell in love with Sonic and Pikachu. This led to the creation of Sonichu, a character that is a hybrid of Sonic and Pikachu. As you can see, Christian's imagination is quite amazing. This would go even further as he started to create handcrafted medallions in Sonichu's shape. Also, there is a myth floating around that everybody who possesses this special medallion is said that great unfortune will happen to them. So if you have an enemy in your life, this is the gift to get. His adult life, on the other hand, was largely defined by goals of developing Sonichu into a hit, a big media franchise hit that would also help him to be financially stable. From a young age, Christian showed a talent for art and creativity, but he was often considered unconventional and amateurish, but he would only reflect things around him from his unique perspective.
To make sure that this does not go out of context, you know, don't talk. At least I am doing this and I have myself a woman, so there. Jackie, I love you. I want to hold you in my arms, sweetheart. You come out over here and we'll do each other right. Sweet times.
Also, for some reason, Chris changed his name from Christopher, a name that he believed was better suited to his identity at the time. This was long before he transitioned to Christine, and this is also a point in time where Christian's internet activity began, particularly on message boards and personal websites. His webcom Sonichu began in 2004, initially as a person project, but it quickly got attention, but he was also ridiculed from various people online.
I think I proved myself well enough. I was holding on to my manhood, my straightness by having Optimus Prime on my lap, and my Sailor Moon poster behind me that I look at every night to help keep me straight. I was born straight, and I will never be changed that way.
The comic is a combination of Christian's favorite characters and would also reflect his personal experiences, desires and frustrations. Over time, his obsession started to grow and his mental health rapidly declined. He would also gain a significant amount of weight at this time. Like I said before, the comic would reflect on Christian's personal desires, including his quest for love, struggles with loneliness and conflicts he perceived with his enemies.
My father angry at me and blaming at me. It's my fault. I admit it's my fault. I want everything about my house off the internet! I'll send in detectives, I'll send in police, I'll send in everything in my power! So yeah, please, get everything off of the internet now!
But as time moved on, he really started to blend fiction and reality. Some say this was due to his medication at the time.
Hey, that friend, Rubber here, Rubble. I'm with you, we got big back there, Rubble. Rubble. Oh, rubble, don't be carry, rubble.
But what was really apparent was that Christian became a target for online trolls, who would see his bizarre behavior and that he was easily mockable. This led to an extensive campaign of harassment that spanned years and we can also say decades.
Stop that imposter been posing with my name, my address, my phone number, everything! Stop him! He deserves nothing! You! Curse ye,
Trolls would create fake personas to interact with Christian, often pretending to be potential romantic interest or simply just friends. These interactions were usually recorded and shared online, further feeding the cycle of ridicule and harassment. In 2007, Christian was featured on the Encyclopedia Dramatica, a website known for its offensive and satirical content, and there was a whole page dedicated to Chris which was filled with derogatory commentary and distorted facts, which would greatly upset him. Christian would try to retaliate by editing the page, but this would only help the trolling.
I swear to God that I will go to the police with every handwritten document that was sent to my family. Back the f*** off! You do not want to get on my bad side again! Or even worse! String that Clyde cat! I will put his lights out! Leave me and my friends alone!
A significant part of Christian's online persona was his love quest saga, a long-running and very public search for a romantic partner.
I don't know. Are you a pretty woman? Or do you hide a beard underneath that veil? Or do you hide that beard? Perhaps you are actually a dude, or even worse, a hermaphrodite.
Chris would openly express his loneliness and the difficulty he faced in finding a girlfriend, which became a recurring theme in his comics and videos. Chris didn't lose his virginity until 2011, when he paid a lady of the night to make him company. He paid the girl $150 and he would later describe it in great detail. The problem was that many people think that things happened a bit differently than he describes it.
I mean, because if you got abstinence, then what you get? End up being an adult virgin, or even worse, a senior citizen virgin.
Also, quite interesting thing is that Chris openly talked about that he hated the idea of but somehow gave in after years of being lonely, so the low quest evolved into a fuck quest. Also to note, Chris absolutely hated gay men, and some observers would probably say that he was simply terrified of becoming gay himself.
You're the shitheads. I'm straight. I'm straight. You're the home. Every last one of you. I love China! I am not a pedo fork, you dorks!
But Chris's words do not always align with his actions. Throughout the history, it was apparent that he appeared deeply insecure about his gender and sexuality. Even prior to his gender transition, he had swallowed his own semen and worn a bra. The only reason why he stopped to wear women's clothes was because his elderly mother intensely disapproved. Chris wears the mark of a lolcow and he would interact and argue with his trolls both online and offline.
And don't ever let me catch you talking about me to anyone else on anyone else's timelines, comment sections, Twitter, or wherever that's outside of your own forum, you trolls. Don't ever let me catch
As
you.
the trolling intensified, Christian's Sonichu comic took on a darker tone. The comics began to feature more violent and aggressive themes, often directed to his perceived enemies, both real and fictional. In the early 2010s, Christian began to identify as a woman and started transitioning, adopting the name Christine Westland Chandler. This marked a significant shift in his identity, and he began to present himself as female both online and in the real life. But this transition was pretty complex as he faced both support and further harassment from online communities.
I will come down at you with my boys from Nintendo and my lawyer man from Nintendo, Jay-Z. He gonna come down with his boys from Nintendo and the boys at Sega. They're gonna track you down.
Trolls would continue to exploit every aspect of his life, often mocking or misrepresenting his gender identity. Christian's financial situation became increasingly worse during this time. He even struggled with employment. The problem was that he was literally unemployable because of his online persona, often relying on social security checks and the support of his aging parents. As the year passed by, Christian's mental health would also appear to decline more rapidly. He became more isolated, and his online content would reflect his growing delusions and erratic behavior.
Wrong! You really blew it this time!
Despite this, Chris continued to post online, often sharing disturbing insight in his life and further blending the line between reality and the fictional world he created in his head.
Die in hell. And I hope the soul of my late dog eats at your souls and kills you in your sleep.
After nearly a decade of a slow downward spiral in every aspect of his life, it was quite obvious that his future didn't look quite bright. But there was a brief period in his life where things started to look bright for Chris. He reconciled with Noel, who would help him to organize a trip for Chris to attend My Little Pony convention. This was arranged on the condition that Chris would complete commission work in exchange for donations. Noel saw that this was a valuable opportunity for Chris to learn to support himself through self-employment, especially in preparation for the inevitable time when Barb would be around. Surprisingly, Chris fulfilled these obligations, producing a significant amount of work compared to the previous months, and seemingly he was quite satisfied with his work and the things he'd done. But during this time, Chris would point out to his close members that he was in a romantic relationship with an older woman and would start to drop hints about her identity. But you know the story about Isabella, a person who we already covered on this iceberg chart. She was the one to set his downfall in motion. Now comes something that would completely disturb the whole internet. On the night of 27 July 2021, Chris was on a video call with Isabella. He would start to brag about his acts that he committed with his own mother. Bella would partially record the call with Chris, where he started to speak of his actions, but he would also text her with some more details. Bella would share this around and it spread like wildfire. It completely took over the internet.
I didn't even think that, I knew that you guys had a good relationship, but I just thought, because I'm not huge on Christery and, you know, whatever, I just thought that the whole Sonichu franchise was very interesting, and that's how I got into you when I was younger, right? But I didn't have any idea that Barbara was, that Barbara knew I had that sort of relationship. I never got any of those vibes. But how did you approach her?
Approached her with care and caution,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a time approach. So I just gave her comfort and talked with her, and we just branched out slow and steady. And then I encouraged her positively, let her make the first move. And she wanted to do it. And
she did? Really? She made the first move?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow, Barbara. How did she do it, if you don't mind me asking? What was the first move?
I don't remember exactly. But that was her first move, but my approach was...
While the trolls joked about Chris potentially committing acts before, just few actually believed that he was capable of acting on this impulse and taking advantage of his elderly and possibly senile mother. Anyone who is a bit familiar with the story knows that Chris didn't show any remorse because of this. While in jail, Chris's delusion would completely take over, leading him to believe that he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ of Nazareth and that the dimensional merge was unfolding as planned. Despite being in jail, Chris maintained communication with the outside world throughout numerous letters and phone calls. In these phone calls, he would discuss topics ranging from jail conditions to his renewed interest in the Bible. In early March of 2022, news surfaced that Chris has been transported from the jail to the Western State Hospital, a mental institution. During this period, he was isolated from the outside world and his activities there remain largely unknown.
You gotta come out where I can meet you. Huh? Huh? Dumbass.
On July 28, 2022, just a day before the anniversary of this infamous incest leak, Chris finally had a court hearing after multiple delays. During his hearing, it was decided that the case would go to a grand jury for at least one felony in charge. But Chris's lawyer, on the other hand, used the autism card, and after spending around 2 years in jail, the internet was shocked when it was announced that Chris was suddenly released on 27 March 2023. By the October of 2023, Chris would make his full return on the internet.
Da da da. One heart piece.
And I know there is so much here, from his racial outbursts to various phases he had over the years, and I could do a 3-hour video solely about Christian, and don't dare me to do it. In a nutshell, what we have here is a story of a person who didn't fit into society, mostly because his view on life are completely different than ours. His extensive trolling over the years, combined with his illness, led Chris on a dark path that the internet will never forget. How he abused his mother multiple times and how he bragged about it is something quite sickening.
Action!
Hello, my name is Barbara Chandler. I wish to wish Nicholas Cruz happy birthday.
Hey!
Please. Bye.
Even if Christian said later in the letter that his mother was abused in his early life and only married his father because of the house he owned, and he would further claim that she was quite angry at him because Chris lost his virginity to a random girl because she could do it as well. But again, I don't know if you can trust Chris's story here. Now, Chris's story isn't at the end, as the story is still going on. Now, as I'm finished with this layer, tell me, are there more horror cows that needed to be on this list? And tell me about your favorite horror cows or lol cows in the comment section. Thank you so much if you're still watching this video, and I really hope you have subscribed to my channel to see more content like this. That's all from me now, and until the next deep dive, stay safe.
Angry.